vast Siberian autumn began its slow descent into the deepest hours of night. A profound stillness settled over the expansive landscapes, cradling the world in a blanket of cool air. Along the winding edge of the Ob River, the first quiet hours of this particular evening in 1917 unfolded with a deliberate grace. Here, where the land met the water, a solitary presence stirred. A lone wolf emerged from the deeper shadows of the trees, its form a soft silhouette against the faint glow of distant stars. It moved with an innate sense of calm, padding through forests of brush and low-lying thickets that fringed the riverbank. Each step was measured, a gentle placement of paws upon the damp earth, which yielded softly beneath its weight. The air here was filled with a subtle, earthy scent, a blend of decaying leaves, cool water, and the hushed breath of the awakening night. This gentle night ambiance carried on slow, almost imperceptible breezes, whispering through the sparse vegetation. The river itself flowed with a deliberate, unhurried pace. Its surface appeared as a ribbon of deep, almost impenetrable black, absorbing the scant light from above. Yet, as one watched with a tranquil mind, faint pinpricks of starlight, like scattered diamonds, would occasionally break into shimmering fragments, dancing briefly with the slight, rhythmic movement of the current. A delicate, ethereal mist, thin and translucent, occasionally drifted across the water, softening the distant shorelines and blurring the edges of the sleepy woodland beyond. This drifting mist contributed to the peaceful forest night, creating a sense of serene mystery without a hint of urgency. Clusters of dry reeds stood tall along the bank, their slender stalks rustling constantly with a soft, persistent sound. This rhythmic sound blended harmoniously with the distant, gentle calls of nocturnal forest creatures, creating a natural chorus that underscored the profound quiet. It was a calming sound, a lullaby of the peaceful wilderness, inviting a deep relaxation. The wolf moved cautiously toward the water's edge, its powerful senses attuned to every nuance of its surroundings. Its keen nose twitched, scenting the air for any unfamiliar traces carried by the calm wind, a low, soft curiosity guiding its perceptions. The atmosphere was one of quiet vigilance, a state of natural alertness maintained without any increase in stimulation. The early autumn chill had begun to deepen considerably as the night fully settled over the vast, unending plains of Siberia. The temperature dropped slowly, steadily, as if the land itself was sighing into a deeper slumber. Yet, within this expanding cold, there was a feeling of safety, a stability found in the predictable rhythm of the earth. Beneath the still dark water of the Ob, subtle movements hinted at a hidden world. Unseen fish navigated the cool currents, their quiet passage creating faint, almost imperceptible ripples on the surface. Occasionally, a single soft leaf, having clung stubbornly to its branch through the day, would finally detach, twirling gently downward to land with a barely audible whisper upon the river's surface. These small, fleeting moments established a quiet, living environment that felt both isolated in its vastness and expansive in its intricate details. The wolf paused at the very edge of the bank, its silver fur glimmering faintly in the weak starlight. Its quiet ears listened, turning slightly, catching the nuances of the gentle night ambience, the whisper of the reeds, the murmur of the river, the distant, muffled calls. It stood for a moment, simply existing in the stillness, its soft breath drifting into the cool air. A subtle sense of completion, a peaceful resolution to its initial approach, settled upon it with the fading light and the deepening quiet of the night. This was a place of rest, a moment to absorb the comfort of the silent nature around it before continuing its slow journey, allowing the vastness of the peaceful night to envelope its mind in deep relaxation. The wolf's presence at the river's edge was a quiet affirmation of life in the midst of the vast, slumbering landscape, a picture of calm breathing under the boundless, calm night sky. It lingered, observing the play of starlight and mist, finding a profound sense of peace in the quiet spectacle of the world settling down for its long, tranquil night. Chapter 2. The wolf turned from the slow, dark current of the Ob River, leaving behind the whisper of bending reeds and the vast, open expanse of the water's edge. Its pads, thick and resilient, pressed softly into the cool, damp earth, moving with an unhurried grace that seemed to absorb the sounds of the night rather than create new ones. The subtle chill of the river air, with its faint, lingering scent of water and stone, began to fade as the creature drifted deeper into the sheltering embrace of the Siberian larch forest. This part of the quiet forest offered a distinctly different atmosphere, a profound sense of enclosure that felt both intimate and expansive in its own peaceful way. Here the ground was a soft, yielding carpet woven from countless fallen autumn needles. Each step the wolf took was cushioned, a gentle depression in the golden brown layer that seemed to glow faintly under the subtle illumination. A thick silence settled around it, the kind that only truly dense woods can offer, muffling the world beyond its boundaries. The tall, slender trunks of the larch trees rose like ancient pillars, reaching toward the distant, calm night sky. Their branches, now mostly bare of leaves save for a few stubbornly clinging clusters, formed an intricate lattice overhead. Through this delicate canopy, the soft moonlight filtered down, no longer a broad, shimmering sheet as it had been over the river, but rather a constellation of shifting patterns. Silver and shadow danced across the forest floor with every gentle breath of wind, painting ephemeral shapes that dissolved and reformed, never quite settling. These quiet shifts in light and dark became a mesmerizing, calming sound for the eyes, guiding the wolf's slowly progressing path through the intricate terrain. The air inside this hidden grove was still, hushed by the towering trees. The peaceful forest night held its breath, broken only by the distant creaks of bending wood, perhaps a large branch settling or a trunk swaying almost imperceptibly in the highest reaches. Faint nocturnal bird calls, lone and melancholic, drifted from deeper within the sleepy woodland, fading into the general calm before they could fully register. The stillness was not empty, but rather a vessel for these tiny, perfect sounds, each one a thread in the rich tapestry of the silent nature. The wolf's movement became quieter here, even more deliberate than before. It navigated roots that snaked like ancient veins across the forest floor, an uneven ground sculpted by time and erosion, its silver fur glimmering slightly, a brief flash with each soft turn of its head or gentle swing of its powerful body. The rhythm of its padding through forests was a steady pulse, a silent song of presence in the vastness, its quiet ears listening carefully, not for alarm, but for the nuanced symphony of the world around it. As it moved, faint scent trails of small woodland animals, perhaps a mouse, a vole, or a drowsy hare, lingered in the cool air. These invisible threads of information led a subtle curiosity further into the silent nature, but without urgency. The wolf explored these faint messages from the undergrowth, understanding the movements of the nocturnal world without needing to intervene. Its exploration was a peaceful mind activity, a slow breathing engagement with its surroundings. The forest here felt enclosed, a sheltered world removed from the broader plains and river. Yet, despite this enclosure, it also radiated a profound sense of peaceful wilderness, offering a safe feeling of comfort. The towering larches, with their deep roots and enduring presence, conveyed a gentle sense of continuity. It was a place where generations had lived out their quiet lives, where seasons had turned uncounted times, and where the rhythm of existence remained unbroken. As night deepened further, the forest sank into an even more profound stillness, a quiet embrace that promised security. The wolf eventually found a moment of rest. It settled softly near the base of a particularly broad larch, its body forming a gentle curve against the rough bark, its soft breath drifting out into the cold air, visible for a moment before dissolving. This was not a profound slumber, but a brief respite, a settling in shelter among the quiet trees, resting after wandering. Its senses remained subtly attuned, listening to breezes that rustled higher in the branches, but its body relaxed, finding a deep relaxation in the consistent comfort of the still forest. The calm presence of the trees, standing guard through the long Siberian night, offered a deep reassurance, a quiet promise of unbroken peace. It felt a sense of completion in this momentary pause, a natural end to this phase of its journey, perfectly poised for the slow transition into the next. Chapter 3. Beyond the quiet forest, where the last whispers of the larch needles had faded into stillness, the terrain began its gentle transformation. The wolf moved slowly, padding through forests that grew sparser, leaving behind the comforting shelter of the closely packed trees. The soft, golden-brown carpet of fallen needles gave way to a damp, open landscape, vast and stretching under the unwavering gaze of the calm night sky. This new expanse was a Siberian marsh, a wide, low-lying wetland where the chill of early autumn had begun its silent work. The air here was different, carrying the distinct scent of cold, still water and decaying vegetation, crisp and peaceful. A thin, almost invisible sheet of ice had started to form over the shallow pools, a delicate, almost ephemeral skin binding the water into fragile, glimmering surfaces. The wolf stepped carefully, its paws accustomed to the soft earth of the forest, now meeting the varied textures of the marshland floor. It moved between patches of frozen ground, solid and unyielding, and areas that remained unfrozen, where the damp earth still yielded slightly beneath its weight. Each step was a gentle inquiry, testing each surface with a deliberate grace, a slow and methodical progression across the evolving landscape. Mist, luminous and soft, rose gently from the wetlands, a spectral shroud that softened the horizon and blurred the distant outlines of sparse trees. This ethereal veil muted the world, muffling distant sound and enhancing the immediate quiet of the marsh. The environment felt profoundly transitional, a liminal space where autumn was slowly, patiently yielding its final days to the approaching winter chill. Every rustle of dry reed, every faint crack from the forming ice contributed to a deeply calming soundscape, a symphony of natural processes unfolding at their own measured pace. Clusters of tall reeds swayed in uneven, soft rhythms with the gentle breath of the night wind. Their slender stalks whispered against each other, a constant, low murmur that blended with the almost imperceptible sounds of the freezing water. The moonlight filtered through the low-lying mist, casting a diffused glow that made the marsh appear as if it were holding its own quiet light from within. The wolf paused often, its silver fur glimmering briefly in the soft illumination, its quiet ears listening to the subtle shifts in the air. It observed the intricate dance of shadows and light, watching moonlit clearings that emerged and dissolved within the drifting mist. Beneath the thin, fragile ice, life still stirred. Small, unseen creatures, perhaps tiny fish or aquatic insects, moved within the shallow water, their faint movements creating barely visible ripples just beneath the surface. The wolf watched these subtle disturbances with a subtle curiosity, a peaceful mind observing the tenacity of existence. It was a reminder that even as the deep freeze prepared to arrive, life found its way, patiently waiting, enduring. This quiet observation filled the wolf with a sense of stability, a profound understanding of the continuous, slow progression of the seasons, the predictable cycle of nature. The cold was pervasive but not harsh, a crisp embrace that was part of this peaceful wilderness. The wolf's soft breath drifted in delicate plumes, disappearing into the mist. There was a feeling of safety in the very predictability of the cold, in the calm unfolding of the night and the seasonal change. It allowed for a deep relaxation, a comfort found in simply existing within this vast, silent nature. The wolf spent a moment to rest, settling its body gently on a patch of firmer, unfrozen ground, its senses still attuned to the nuances of the marsh. As the night deepened further, the stillness grew, broken only by the natural sounds of the freezing marsh, the occasional soft crunch of ice under a paw, the rhythmic sway of the reeds, the barely audible movements of water beneath the surface. These were the only companions in this peaceful wilderness. The wolf, having traversed the riverbank and the larch forest, now felt itself to be an integral part of this new, evolving landscape. It was resting after wandering, gathering a sense of completion from its silent journey through these diverse realms. The calm presence of the night offered a profound reassurance, allowing the wolf's slow breathing to match the gentle rhythm of the silent marsh. It would continue its journey slowly when the time was right, drawn by an inner compass through the still landscape, moving ever onward beneath the vast, calm night sky. The early frost would only deepen as the hours passed, but for now, there was only the quiet progression of the night and the comfort of the land. Chapter 4. Emerging from the vastness of the frozen marsh expanse where brittle ice had begun to bind the shallow pools, the lone wolf moved steadily onward. The landscape shifted subtly as it traveled, leaving behind the swaying reeds and the faint, rhythmic cracks of forming ice. A new scent began to drift on the cool night air, distinct from the damp earth and decaying leaves of the wetlands, carrying a faint, lingering trace of human presence. It was not a fresh scent, but an echo from a time that had passed. The wolf continued its slow journey, padding through forests that gradually thinned, revealing open spaces marked by the gentle rise and fall of the terrain. As the path widened, the indistinct shapes of structures began to emerge from the deep shadows of the calm night, standing silently against the faint starlight. The wolf entered an abandoned human logging settlement, a place likely deserted due to the shifting times of 1917 Siberia, left to the quiet, reclaiming embrace of the peaceful wilderness. Broken wooden cabins, their frames leaning with the weight of forgotten years, stood scattered across the clearing. Their empty windows reflected the faint starlight, glinting like dull, vacant eyes upon the still forest. A soft gust of wind moved through the structures, causing the weathered timbers to creak under wind pressure, a soft sound blending into the night ambiance. This gentle creaking blended with the subtle rustling of fallen leaves that lay thick upon the ground. These leaves, damp and frozen at their edges, muffled the wolf's soft steps, creating an almost silent movement as it navigated through the remnants of human endeavor. Here and there, rusted tools lay scattered amongst the leaf litter, half buried and forgotten. A pickaxe head, a broken saw blade, a discarded piece of chain, each told a silent story of past presence, of labor long ceased. Their metallic scent mingled with the older, fainter scents of smoke and cut timber, lingering in the cold air, a soft mystery for the wolf's keen senses. The wolf moved cautiously through the settlement, its silver fur glimmering faintly in the intermittent starlight. It was unfamiliar with human traces left so extensively, yet it sensed no immediate active presence, only the echoes of what had once been. The stillness here was heavier than in the open forest, shaped by absence rather than nature's quiet breath. Every gentle sound, a soft gust of wind sifting through the eaves, a faint creak of wood settling under the night's cold, echoed briefly before dissolving into the calm night air, swallowed by the vast, quiet expanse. It did not linger in any one spot for long, its curiosity a low, steady current rather than a surge. Instead, it continued its slow progression, observing the patterns of decay and the patient return of the wild. Patches of frost clung to the rough surfaces of the wooden walls, outlining the peeling paint and the rough grain of the old logs. Small shrubs and hardy grasses had begun to push their way up through the cracks in what might once have been a worn path, reclaiming the ground bit by bit. A sense of safety permeated the air, prevailing despite the unfamiliarity of the structures. There was no disturbance, no sudden noise to break the deep relaxation that settled over the landscape. The peaceful mind of the wolf registered the lack of threat, allowing it to move with a measured, calm, breathing rhythm. It rested its gaze upon the peaceful landscape, a tapestry of human history slowly fading back into the earth. The cold air carried the scent of distant pines, a comforting reminder of the natural world surrounding this pocket of human past. The wolf paused near a fallen log, one that might have been part of a cabin wall, now just a decaying bridge for moss and lichen. Its quiet ears listening, it heard only the soft whispers of the gentle night ambience, the slow, consistent breathing of the sleepy woodland beyond the camp's edge. This moment of stillness provided a quiet contrast, a brief window into a world shaped by hands that were now long gone, before the wolf quietly continued its journey, leaving the abandoned structures to their silent slumber under the calm night sky. It left the camp behind, returning to the wild's embrace, carrying a profound feeling of stability. Chapter 5. After moving through twilight across the open land, the wolf slowly descends into a narrow ravine where stone walls rise steeply, offering a natural barrier against the cold wind and preserving a gentle warmth. The uneven terrain of the ravine floor unfolded with a gentle slope, guiding the wolf deeper into the earth's embrace. Its soft paws found purchase on loose scree and ancient weathered rock, each step measured and quiet. The air grew calmer with the descent, the persistent whispers of the wind that had rustled through the logging camp now fading to a mere memory. Above, the sliver of calm night sky seemed to shrink, replaced by the imposing, silent sentinels of stone that rose on either side, their surfaces dark and textured under the distant starlight. At its base, a natural den lay sheltered beneath an overhang of rock, a dark opening against the lighter stone. This was no new discovery, but a recognized pattern in the peaceful wilderness, a place designed for rest by the ancient forces of the land itself. The ground within this sheltered space was noticeably dry compared to the surrounding wetlands and the damp earth of the forest floor. It was scattered with old bones and feathers from past seasons, silent markers of enduring life, each a testament to the cycles of the sleepy woodland. These small remnants told a soft story of temporary shelter, of transient occupancy, and of the perpetual ebb and flow of creatures seeking comfort. The wolf inspects the space carefully, moving slowly within the confines of the den, its quiet ears listening intently, picking up the faint drip of water from above, a singular liquid sound echoing in rhythmic intervals within the calm enclosure. Each drop fell with a gentle splash, a tiny, steady beat against the profound stillness that had gathered here. The air held a cool, earthy scent, mingled with the faint, dry aroma of forgotten seasons and the subtle, wild perfume of the wolf's own kind. This peaceful den space was marked mentally as a potential refuge, a place for comfort and rest should the need arise, a safe feeling settling over the animal as it absorbed the nuances of the sheltered area. The overhang of rock extended like a protective brow, creating a ceiling that kept out the lightest touch of the night's frost and the most gentle brush of the wind. Here, the stillness was absolute, a profound quietude that allowed for deep relaxation. The wolf moved a little deeper, its silver fur glimmering briefly, where a stray ray of diffused soft moonlight might find its way through a narrow opening far above, but mostly it was shadowed, enclosed in a calm embrace. It circled slowly, padding through forests that were now far behind, finding the smoothest spot on the dry earth. Its soft breath drifting visibly in the cool, contained air, a gentle plume that quickly vanished into the stillness. The atmosphere truly felt enclosed yet profoundly safe, a stark contrast to the open plains and windswept logging camp it had traversed. This natural hollow offered temporary shelter from the expanding cold of the Siberian night, a haven from the peaceful wilderness that stretched endlessly beyond the ravine's steep walls. The promise of comfort within this hidden sanctuary was palpable, a quiet invitation to remain, to conserve energy, to simply rest. The stillness deepened around the wolf, encouraging its own slow rhythm, a deep relaxation seeping into its very being. It found a spot, away from the faint drips, and curled beside a smooth, cool rock, its body forming a soft crescent against the ancient stone, its tail gently swaying once or twice before settling, a final, calm adjustment. The faint sounds from outside, the distant rustling of reeds or the muted call of a nocturnal bird, became even more remote, absorbed by the earth and rock. The den was a pocket of consistent temperature, a small world of its own, nurturing a sense of stability through the long, quiet hours. The wolf's peaceful mind began to drift, its senses aware but calm, held within the comfort of this hidden clearing. The deep, dark invited rest, a profound restorative stillness that settled over the land and the creature within it. Outside, the world continued its slow turning, but here, time itself seemed to pause, held in gentle suspension until the moment of departure. The soft earth beneath it felt cool and supportive, a natural bed provided by centuries of erosion and elemental forces. There was no need for vigilance here, only the steady pulse of life in its most gentle form. The air, though cool, was not piercing. It carried only the clean scents of rock and dry earth, a calm aroma. The wolf's body relaxed further, its muscles easing into the supportive hollow. This sanctuary, nestled deep within the earth, felt like a secret kept only for its comfort, a temporary haven in the vast, peaceful wilderness. The stillness was a blanket, wrapping around it, promoting an even deeper state of rest. It was settling in shelter, fully embracing the opportunity for deep relaxation before the long night fully passed. The subtle shift from the open, exposed world to this contained, protective space was gentle, an ebb and flow of experience within the greater, calm journey. No soft moonlight reached this depth, only a consistent, comforting darkness that brought with it a different kind of visibility, one sensed rather than seen. The wolf's internal compass pointed to safety, a feeling reinforced by the solid, unmoving rock above and around it. The quiet drip continued, a rhythm that was more a part of the stillness than a break in it, a calming sound that lulled the senses. The wolf's slow breathing deepened, each exhalation a release into the quietude. It allowed itself to simply be, a state of pure comfort in the heart of the ravine, far from the gentle night ambiance of the open forest. The stillness was a profound gift, a space where all need for active wandering beneath stars was momentarily suspended, replaced by the profound simplicity of rest. The knowledge of this refuge, this safe haven, would remain a point of reference in its mental map of the peaceful wilderness. For now, the journey's continuous flow had led it to this interlude, a gentle pause before the world beckoned again. The quiet den, a momentary comfort from the calm night sky and its vast, cold expanse, offered a profound sense of stability. The wolf's peaceful mind felt settled, resting after wandering through varied terrains. It was here that a final deep relaxation seemed to bloom, held safely within the rock walls. The soft promise of upcoming activity was far off, allowing for this profound period of stillness before the next slow movement forward into the awakening world. Chapter 6. Leaving the sheltered ravine, where quiet stillness had offered a gentle comfort, the wolf began its slow ascent into the foothills. The terrain here opened widely, stretching out beneath the vast, calm night sky. As it moved upward, the wind became more dominant, a constant, soft presence that shaped the landscape. Tall grasses, touched with the muted colors of late autumn, bent continuously under cold gusts, creating long, flowing, waving patterns across the peaceful expanse. Each ripple of grass moved with a rhythmic grace, a quiet dance in the dim light. The air grew clearer, carrying the crisp, clean scent of open land and distant rock. Above, the night sky appeared immeasurably larger, unobstructed by any dense forest canopy. Countless stars like scattered diamonds glittered with an unwavering light, each one a tiny point of silent brilliance. The soft moonlight, though faint, seemed to touch everything with a silver glow, making the exposed landscape shimmer gently. The wolf moved steadily, its powerful legs carrying it with an unhurried resolve. Its silver fur glimmered faintly with each step, catching the subtle illumination from above. Against the persistent push of the wind, it adjusted its posture with an easy grace, leaning into the gentle force as if in quiet conversation with the elements. Its head was held low, its gaze sweeping across the open terrain, scanning for any soft movement in the distance, though the prevailing atmosphere was one of profound stillness. Distant mountain silhouettes, dark and silent, loomed like ancient guardians on the horizon. Their massive forms created a sense of immense scale, grounding the expansive freedom of the foothills with a feeling of enduring stability. The shift from the enclosed, sheltered ravine to this exposed highland introduced a new kind of calm, a vastness that felt both vulnerable and liberating. There was a deep relaxation in this openness, a peaceful mind embracing the wide, unburdened view. The wolf found itself pausing on ridges, high points where the wind hummed a low, continuous song. From these vantage points, it spent long, quiet moments gazing across valleys that stretched far into the unseen distances, watching moonlit clearings that lay like pale patches on the land below. Its quiet ears listened intently to the breezes, which carried subtle whispers from the peaceful wilderness, tales of the night's gentle activities. The air itself felt like a comforting presence, cold yet pure. As it continued its wandering beneath the stars, the wolf felt a profound sense of safety in the predictable rhythm of this open country. The wind, once a novel sensation, now felt like a familiar companion, its steady breath a part of the nature ambience. It was a place for quiet reflection, a space where the world felt boundless and enduring. After its journey through the varied landscapes of the night, from riverbank to forest, marsh to ravine, the foothills offered a different kind of rest, a rest for the spirit in the face of limitless expanse. Its soft breath drifted into the cool air, a gentle sign of its calm presence within the vast silent night. Chapter 7. The wolf's steady ascent through the foothills continued, its journey a soft murmur against the vastness of the land. The path it chose was gentle, winding upward without urgency, leading it ever higher into the quiet embrace of the mountains. Eventually, the uneven ground leveled somewhat, and the air grew crisper, carrying a delicate, keen edge that whispered of colder realms. Here, the landscape opened once more, but this time, before the wolf, lay a vast, calm expanse of water, a high-altitude lake resting like a forgotten jewel in the cradle of the peaks. Early winter conditions had already begun their slow and steady work upon this tranquil body of water. A fragile ice skin was forming, stretching outward from the lake's edges, a delicate, shimmering veil across the still water. Overhead, the calm night sky was a velvet canvas dotted with countless stars that cast their faint, distant light upon the nascent ice. These celestial pinpricks reflected unevenly across the partially frozen surface, creating a soft, ethereal gleam, a shimmering effect that danced with every subtle shift in the night air. Each reflection was a quiet flicker, a fleeting spark against the deepening darkness, contributing to the peaceful forest night ambiance, even though no trees grew close to the lake's immediate edge. The air high on the mountain was thinner here and noticeably sharper than in the valleys below. It carried distant echoes from the surrounding, unseen ridges, faint murmurs that blended into the pervasive stillness of the scene. These soft sounds, carried on the gentle night ambiance, were not startling but rather integrated, becoming part of the lake's natural lullaby. The wolf's quiet ears listening took in these barely perceptible whispers, its senses attuned to the subtle symphony of the silent nature around it. With slow, deliberate steps, the wolf began to circle the shoreline, its silver fur glimmering faintly as it wandered beneath stars. It moved with a natural caution, avoiding thin ice where the water still stirred beneath, its careful paws instinctively sensing the most solid frozen patches. As it padded along the bank, it would occasionally pause, observing faint ripples that betrayed pockets of unfrozen water, where perhaps some enduring life still moved. This focused observation was a gentle curiosity, a deep engagement with the immediate environment, without any hint of haste or alarm. The scene held an immense, quiet grandeur, a vastness that spoke of ancient forces and enduring landscapes. It emphasized reflection in many forms, the literal mirroring of stars on the ice, and a deeper atmospheric mirroring of the serene cold. The profound stillness of the lake, caught between liquid and solid, mirrored the peaceful mind of the wolf as it moved through this transitional moment. The surrounding peaceful wilderness seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the full embrace of winter. Night continued its slow passage, its progress marked by the subtle fading of certain constellations and the almost imperceptible brightening of the eastern horizon, hinting at the pre-dawn hours to come. A deep relaxation settled over the wolf, a profound sense of comfort found in the stable rhythm of the changing season and the enduring landscape. It rested its gaze upon the silent nature before it, taking in the wide, expansive view. This gazing across valleys and over the wide, frozen expanse of the lake brought a safe feeling, a reassurance found in the predictable cycles of the world. The comforting cold air, though sharp, was also clean, invigorating each soft breath drifting from the wolf's muzzle. It found a smooth, frosted rock and settled gently, its body a dark, still silhouette against the shimmering ice, a quiet observer in a world of stillness. The cold was a constant, gentle companion now, seeping into the earth, firming the ground, and hardening the water. The wolf felt the reliable press of the frozen shore beneath its paws, a steady certainty. Its senses continued to sweep the quiet air, but there was no tension, only an enduring vigilance, a part of its natural rhythm. The hours passed like slow, unhurried thoughts, each moment blending seamlessly into the next, a continuous, calm flow. The world felt stable and predictable in its seasonal transition, offering a deep, innate comfort to the solitary creature. The moon, now lower, cast longer, softer shadows across the distant silent ridges, and the air seemed to hum with a muffled, peaceful song of nascent ice. The wolf remained still, a quiet presence in the vastness, wrapped in the gentle night ambiance, until the first faint suggestions of a new chapter began to paint the sky. Chapter 8. The wolf moved with a soft, steady cadence away from the silvered ice of the highland lake, its steps leaving faint impressions on the lightly frosted earth. The cold mountain air, which had felt crisp and sharp by the exposed water, began to soften subtly as the terrain gently sloped downwards. A new kind of quiet began to gather, hinting at a change in the immediate surroundings. The distant echoes that had drifted from the ridges now faded, replaced by a closer, more intimate symphony of the natural world. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the sparse, hardy vegetation of the higher altitudes gave way to taller, more slender trees. The wolf padded through the lessening growth, its gaze steady, until it gently entered a grove of birch trees. These trees, unlike the darker, heavier pines of other forests, presented a delicate presence. Their pale, almost luminous bark stood out sharply, a gentle contrast against the deepening blue-black of the night sky and the darker undergrowth. It was as if a soft, inner light emanated from each trunk, creating faint, ethereal glow in the silent nature. The remaining autumn leaves, clinging tenaciously to the slender branches, trembled softly in the gentle wind that whispered through the grove. This movement produced a constant, rhythmic rustling sound, a peaceful, lulling murmur that filled the quiet forest. It was a sound that enveloped the wolf, blending with the subtle shifting of its own quiet breath. The ground beneath its paws was uneven here, a tapestry of exposed roots that snaked across the forest floor, interspersed with scattered patches of early frost that crunched with a barely audible sigh under each careful step. Movement through this space felt intrinsically rhythmic and gentle, a continuous flowing dance between the wolf and the ancient trees. It was as if the sleepy woodland itself breathed slowly, expanding and contracting with the gentle gusts, its rustling leaves like a soft, collective exhalation. The wolf navigated carefully between the slender, upright trunks, its silver fur glimmering faintly each time the shifting moonlight found an opening in the canopy above. These fleeting moments of soft moonlight created dancing patterns of light and shadow on the pale bark, highlighting the delicate textures of the forest. Occasionally, the wolf would pause, its quiet ears listening. It stood perfectly still, a statue of watchful grace, allowing the gentle night ambience to wash over it. Distant forest activity, perhaps the hoot of an owl or the faint rustle of a small creature, would drift through the air, carried by the calm, steady breeze. These sounds were never jarring, always softened by distance and the insulating qualities of the grove, adding to the sense of deep relaxation. The air, though still carrying the chill of the advancing night, felt less piercing here, warmed by the close proximity of the trees and the slight stillness they created. The environment transitioned subtly toward colder conditions, a gradual, peaceful progression of the season. The patches of frost on the ground seemed to widen with each slow minute, yet the comfort of the grove remained. There was a safe feeling within this enclosed space, a natural haven formed by the upright birches. The wolf continued its journey through this silent, tranquil setting, its senses keenly attuned to the peaceful forest night, yet its demeanor entirely calm. The subtle movements of the wind through the leaves created a consistent auditory backdrop, a soothing hum that encouraged a peaceful mind. There was no urgency, No haste in the wolf's steady progress. It was simply wandering beneath stars, observing the world around it with a quiet curiosity that never escalated into excitement. Each branch, each pale trunk, each rustling leaf was part of a larger, calm mosaic. The wolf's soft breath drifted, creating tiny clouds in the cool air, a visible sign of its steady presence. Within the birch grove, the feeling of stability was ever present. The ancient rhythm of the forest, the slow turning of the night, the gentle shift of the seasons, all contributed to a profound sense of continuity. The wolf paused near a particularly large birch, its trunk wider than the rest, offering a temporary moment of rest. It settled gently onto its haunches, not for deep sleep, but for a brief interlude of quiet observation. Its gaze swept across the moonlit clearings that lay beyond the grove, then returned to the immediate shelter of the trees. The rustling light, created by the interplay of moon, wind, and leaves, continued its gentle dance. It was a quiet symphony, a visual and auditory balm that wrapped around the wolf, offering comfort in its journey. The very air seemed infused with a deep relaxation, a quality that softened every edge and muted every sound. The wolf remained for a time in this stillness, its quiet ears listening to the ceaseless, soft whispers of the grove, finding reassurance in the predictable rhythm of the world around it. The passage of time here was marked not by clocks, but by the subtle, slow shifts of light and sound, a peaceful journey through the long Siberian night. It was a moment of deep calm, a quiet rest within the gentle embrace of the birch grove before the next stretch of its long, solitary wandering. Chapter 9. Leaving the rustling birches behind, where pale bark had seemed to glow in the shifting moonlight, the wolf continued its tranquil journey. The gentle sway of its tail gently swaying echoed the soft rustle of leaves that now faded into memory. A profound stillness gathered around the creature as the sleepy woodland gave way to a more expansive vista. The landscape opened slowly, revealing a different kind of terrain, one marked by both the enduring hand of nature and the subtle, fading touch of human enterprise. Ahead, cutting through the vast expanse of the Siberian steppe, lay an old railway line. Its presence was a quiet line etched upon the land, a testament to paths once traveled, now silent under the calm night sky. The rails themselves, long exposed to the elements, glinted faintly under the distant starlight, silver threads stretching endlessly in both directions, disappearing into the muted horizon. This human-made path presented a soft contrast to the natural surroundings that had cradled the wolf through its journey thus far. It was an intrusion, perhaps, but one now largely reclaimed by the peaceful wilderness, its original purpose softened by time and neglect. The wolf slowly approached the railway, its padding through forests now replaced by a deliberate traverse across the open ground. Its silver fur glimmering briefly as a stray starbeam caught it, the wolf stepped with unhurried grace. It began to cross the line, stepping over wooden sleepers that were half buried in dry earth and sparse, frost-tipped grasses. Each soft placement of a paw was cautious but unafraid, a testament to the animal's innate awareness and its profound sense of safety. There was no recent scent of human presence to stir unease, only the calm embrace of the night air. The quiet metal of the rails offered no challenge, merely a momentary texture beneath its paws. A gentle wind began to move freely across this open land, a constant, calming sound that whispered over the still landscape. It carried distant scents from unknown regions, a soft mystery blending with the familiar earthy fragrances of the steppe. The wolf quietly listened to the breeze, its quiet ears listening for any subtle shift, but finding only the predictable patterns of the wind. This environment, while different from the enclosed forests or the icy lake, still offered a feeling of stability, a continuous, unfolding narrative in which the wolf moved with inherent comfort. The slow progression across the railway emphasized a sense of linear motion, a peaceful transition across a defined boundary. It was as if the land itself was being quietly traversed by history and time, each soft step of the wolf echoing the passage of countless journeys, both human and wild. The calm night sky stretched wide above, a blanket of deep relaxation under which the wolf continued its wandering beneath stars. The open expanse of the steppe provided an unhindered view of the heavens, a panorama that encouraged a peaceful mind. With each soft movement, the wolf's slow breathing remained even, a rhythm of existence in harmony with the vast, silent nature. The railway line, once a symbol of speed and human ambition, was now simply another feature of the peaceful wilderness, a place where the wolf could rest its weight, sensing no threat, only the profound stillness of the gentle night ambiance. It gazed across valleys that seemed to stretch forever under the distant stars, absorbing the quiet grandeur of the landscape. The faint glint of the rails slowly receded behind it as the wolf moved further into the open steppe. The wind remained a constant companion, rustling through the low, tough grasses, a persistent, gentle sound that contributed to the overall calm of the scene. The feeling of being safe permeated the air, a reassurance in the vastness. The wolf was a creature perfectly attuned to its surroundings, its journey an unbroken thread through the unfolding sleepy woodland and the sprawling open spaces of its world. As the last traces of the railway disappeared into the velvety dark, the wolf continued its steady, slow pace, leaving this human mark behind and pressing onward into the continuous, peaceful flow of the Siberian night. The sense of comfort deepened with every step, a deep relaxation washing over the land and its solitary traveler. Chapter 10. The vast, silent expanse of the steppe slowly receded behind the wolf as it continued its patient journey. The linear path of the old railway had eventually dissolved into the wider land, guiding the wolf's steady progress not towards a specific destination, but simply onward, through the deep hours of the Siberian night. The calm night sky remained an endless, watchful canopy, its faint stars now twinkling above a subtle change in the landscape ahead. A low, barely perceptible cluster of darker shadows emerged from the deeper gloom, distinct from the distant trees of the sleepy woodland. It was a new presence, a pattern of geometry interrupting the organic flow of the wilderness. With slow and gentle steps, the wolf approached the quiet edge of what slowly revealed itself to be a small rural Siberian village. The air, previously carrying the crisp, cold scents of open land and frozen earth, now held a fainter, older aroma, a lingering echo of wood smoke, of dried hay, and the subtle, forgotten scent of human habitation. The wooden houses stood still and dark, huddled together under the immense weight of night. Their forms were indistinct, softened by the lack of illumination, becoming part of the broader shadows. There were no lights visible from any window, no warm, inviting gleam breaking the uniform darkness. This absence was not eerie, but profoundly peaceful, suggesting a village entirely surrendered to slumber. The chimneys, rising silently from the sloped roofs, were cold and smoke-free. No wisps of white breath curled upwards to mingle with the frigid night air. No gentle scent of burning wood drifted on the soft breeze. This particular detail reinforced the profound stillness that enveloped the village. It hinted at either complete abandonment, the inhabitants long since departed and their hearths left to grow cold, or a state of such deep, undisturbed sleep that not a single ember glowed. The wolf observed this quiet tableau without apprehension, its peaceful mind absorbing the scene as merely another shift in the landscape, a temporary pause in the ceaseless rhythm of the wild. As the wolf drew closer, the details of the village began to emerge from the pervasive shadows. Rough-hewn fences leaned slightly, their wooden posts weathered and gray, creating low, broken lines that attempted to define boundaries against the encroaching natural world. These structures, once strong and purposeful, now appeared softened by time and the elements, their edges blurred, their purpose less urgent. The gentle night ambiance wrapped around them, absorbing any sharp angles, rendering them as organic as the trees beyond. Along the uneven ground at the perimeter, snow began to mix with fallen leaves, creating a delicate tapestry of white and russet. The first light dusting of winter's embrace softened the earth, preparing the village for the deeper cold that was yet to come. The wolf moved calmly and deliberately along the perimeter of the settlement, its soft paws treading carefully where the forest met the village edge. It maintained a respectful distance, avoiding open exposure in the more cleared areas, preferring the comforting cover of the nearby low-growing pines and thickets. Its keen senses were attuned to every subtle detail, observing faint human traces that remained, silent reminders of a past presence. Perhaps it was a broken fence post, splintered and gray, its integrity slowly yielding to the forces of decay. Or a faded path that once led from a doorway into the forest, now almost entirely overgrown with hardy grasses and small resilient shrubs. Each trace was a quiet testament to lives lived here, now slowly being reabsorbed by the earth. The atmosphere was profoundly subdued, a hush far deeper than the stillness of the open steppe. It was a quiet born not of emptiness, but of a lingering presence overlaid with absence, a forgotten life now blending into natural reclamation. The wooden walls of the houses seemed to melt into the surrounding sleepy woodland, as if the forest itself was beginning to creep back, reclaiming its territory, softly dismantling the structures of human effort. The raw, rough planks of the buildings, once sharply cut, now had a smoothed, gentle texture imparted by countless seasons of wind and frost. This slow transformation was a comforting thought, a testament to the enduring power of nature. The calm night sky continued its silent watch, overseeing both the slumbering village and the peaceful wilderness beyond. Its endless depth provided a profound feeling of safety to the wolf, an assurance of continuity. The stillness was pervasive, a deep, pervasive quiet broken only by the faintest rustle of dry leaves caught in an imperceptible draft, or the distant, almost imagined sigh of the wind through the sleepy woodland. The wolf paused near a cluster of tall, whispering birches, taking a moment to rest. Its soft breath drifting visibly in the crisp air, a fleeting plume of warmth against the enduring cold. This gentle interlude, this quiet observation of a human place in the grip of slumber or long disuse, offered a unique sense of comfort. The wolf felt no impulse to enter, no restless curiosity to disturb the peace. Instead, it moved with the profound, deep relaxation of an animal in harmony with its environment, its journey merely passing through. The subtle merging of human and natural worlds, the slow dance of decay and reclamation, created a tableau of gentle change and persistent stillness. The village, with its cold chimneys and darkened windows, felt like a quiet memory, held calm within the embrace of the vast, indifferent night. Having absorbed the quiet solitude of the village edge, the wolf slowly turned its attention once more to the wild, sensing the gentle call of the quiet forest beyond the last leaning fence. Chapter 11. The wolf, after lingering at the tranquil boundary of the sleeping village, turned its quiet attention away from the silent, dormant dwellings. It began a gentle movement, veering towards a different path, one that promised a continuation of its nocturnal journey through the vast Siberian landscape. Its paths, accustomed to the varied textures of the wilderness, now encountered a narrow trail, barely discernible in the soft moonlight that filtered through sparse overhead branches. This was a pathway that whispered of earlier passages, a quiet track likely used by human hunters in seasons now past, their fleeting presence marked in subtle ways. The earth beneath the wolf's padding paws felt faintly disturbed, hinting at old footfalls, softened now by the gentle touch of frost and the slow sift of autumn leaves. These were not fresh signs, but faint impressions, long integrated back into the quiet forest floor. A discarded, broken branch lay askew, perhaps snapped by a heavy boot, its rough edge smoothed by time and weather. Further along, a small, almost unseen length of woven twine, long since inert and harmless, lay half buried in the soil, a silent relic of a forgotten snare. The wolf noticed these details without alarm, merely reading them as elements of the environment, a quiet testament to the layered history of this peaceful wilderness. Its natural caution guided each deliberate step, ensuring a feeling of safety was maintained. The trail ascended slowly, a gentle incline leading up an eastern slope. This rising ground offered a partial visibility, a widening perspective of the surrounding terrain, allowing the wolf's gaze to sweep across the distant, still forms of the land. The quiet night air, which had carried the faint, cold scent of forgotten hearths near the village, now brought a different mix of odors. There was the subtle, earthy aroma of decaying wood, perhaps a faint metallic tang from long-abandoned tools further down the slope, blending with the clean, sharp smell of cold soil and damp pine needles. These were not urgent or stimulating scents, but soft, fading traces that spoke of time's gentle erosion of human influence. The wolf moved with an unhurried grace, its silver fur glimmering subtly where patches of soft moonlight broke through the thinning canopy. It followed the woodland trails, its quiet ears listening to the ceaseless soft hum of the night. Every rustle of dry leaves under a gentle breeze, every faint creak of a distant tree branch, was processed with quiet attention, yet nothing stirred the deep relaxation it felt in this stable environment. This journey along the hunter's trail became an exercise in soft adaptation, a seamless blend of natural instinct and quiet awareness, navigating a landscape where the wild and the trace of human endeavor quietly coexisted, each slowly fading into the other. As the trail gradually leveled, the wolf paused on a small rise, taking a moment to rest. Its soft breath drifted visibly in the calm, cool air. From this vantage point, it gazed across valleys that stretched out, dark and serene, beneath the expansive, calm night sky. The stars, countless and distant, offered a comforting stability, their silent vigil a constant presence above the sleepy woodland. The wolf found a profound comfort in this practiced routine, the steady rhythm of traversing the land, interpreting its signs, and moving onward. There was no urgency, only a continuous, quiet progression. The subtle shifts in scent, the gentle rise and fall of the terrain, all contributed to a peaceful mind, grounded in the immediate moment. The faint remnants of human presence on the trail became softer, less defined, as the wolf journeyed further along the slope. The path itself seemed to slowly dissolve back into the wild, the disturbed earth healing over, the broken branches becoming indistinguishable from natural debris. This gentle reclamation by nature reinforced the feeling of stability that permeated the quiet forest. The wolf continued its soft meandering, not looking back, but forward towards the deepening quiet of the untouched woods, where the air promised a more profound stillness and the trees grew denser, their shadows more complete. The gentle night ambiance enveloped it wholly, guiding its peaceful passage towards new, unseen clearings, a steady whisper of the wild. Chapter 12. Having followed the subtle path that carried faint echoes of human presence, the wolf turned slowly away from the hunter's trail. Its paws, accustomed to varied terrains, now sought a different kind of ground. A change in the very air, a deeper, cooler breath, guided its progress towards a thick stand of trees that loomed larger and more ancient than any it had yet encountered. The wolf gently entered this majestic, old-growth pine forest where the towering trunks of ancient trees stood closely packed. They rose like immense columns, their bark etched with the silent stories of countless seasons, forming a cathedral-like silence beneath their dense, overarching canopy. Within this profound sanctuary, the usual movements of the wind were reduced to the softest murmurs high above. The canopy itself muted external sound, creating an extraordinary stillness that settled deep into the forest floor. The very atmosphere here felt heavy and still, imbued with a quiet reverence. The distinct, rich, resinous scent of pine lingered in the cold air, a calming sound in itself, a deep, pervasive fragrance that spoke of long, unchanging years. It was a scent of earth and evergreen, of ancient life breathing slowly through the vast, dark wood. The ground beneath the wolf's soft paws was covered in a thick, insulating layer of needles. This carpet of fallen pine offered near-silent movement, each gentle step absorbed without a rustle or a crunch. The wolf padded gently forward, its silver fur glimmering only faintly where the highest, most tenacious moonlight managed to pierce the layers of branches far overhead. It traveled slowly, deliberately, its senses finely tuned to the subtle changes of this enclosed world. The wolf was keenly aware of the enclosed space, the limited sightlines extending only a short distance through the dense ranks of trunks. Yet this closeness brought with it a deep relaxation. There was a peaceful forest night quality to this particular grove, a sense of being held and protected. The profound stillness was occasionally punctuated by small, natural events that seemed to only deepen the quiet. Now and then, a falling cone would detach from a high branch, tumbling through the needles with a soft, muted thud that quickly dissolved into the general silence. Or a distant branch crack might echo, a gentle sound of the forest adjusting in its sleep before the profound stillness settled once more. These tiny sounds enhanced the pervasive sense of deep wilderness, a place untouched by recent disturbance, where time moved with its own quiet, steady rhythm. The wolf's quiet ears were listening to everything, yet perceiving so little beyond the immediate, tranquil presence of the ancient trees. It picked up only the softest whispers carried by the incredibly gentle air currents within the sleepy woodland. These were not sounds of alarm or urgency, but merely the ongoing breath of the forest, the calm breathing of a truly wild place. This deep, natural enclosure reinforced a powerful feeling of safety and comfort. Here, amidst the towering guardians of this ancient, quiet forest, the wolf felt the undeniable stability of a world that had remained steadfast through ages. As it continued, wandering beneath stars that were almost completely hidden from view, the journey through this pine cathedral became a slow, unfolding meditation. The wolf did not rush, nor did it search with any particular urgency. Its slow pace was one of pure exploration, an unhurried immersion into the essence of this particular place. The uniform texture of the needle-strewn ground, the consistent, calming scent of pine, and the pervasive stillness created a predictable rhythm. It was a rhythm that allowed the wolf's peaceful mind to settle, to experience a profound sense of rest without needing to seek a specific resting place. The sheer continuity of the experience, mile after mile of similar towering pines, fostered a deep sense of security. The air grew ever colder, yet the dense trees offered a certain insulation, preventing the most biting winds from penetrating their protective wall. The wolf moved with a soft grace, its tail gently swaying as it navigated around the massive bases of trees, sometimes pausing to sniff at a patch of moss, or simply to absorb the silent nature surrounding it. It was gazing across valleys of shadow and light within the immediate grove, seeing a world defined by trunks and fallen branches rather than vast horizons. The sense of being truly deep in relaxation within this natural chamber was pervasive. Each soft breath drifted out into the cold air, visible for a moment before melting into the stillness. The wolf continued its quiet journey through the ancient pine cathedral, its passage a testament to the enduring presence of the wilderness. It was a creature moving through its own history, through a landscape that had stood long before its birth and stand long after. The feeling of absolute comfort in this calm, unchanging environment was complete. There was nothing here to disturb the quiet contemplation, nothing to break the steady flow of time. It was a place for enduring peace, a gentle pause in the night's long, slow narrative, before the next shift in terrain would slowly lead to new vistas. The quiet embrace of the pine forest held the wolf in its profound stillness, allowing a deep relaxation to settle over the landscape and the traveler alike, creating a lasting feeling of safety. Having followed the subtle path that carried faint echoes of human presence, the wolf turned slowly away from the hunter's trail. Its paws, accustomed to varied terrains, now sought a different kind of ground. A change in the very air, a deeper, cooler breath, guided its progress towards a thick stand of trees that loomed larger and more ancient than any it had yet encountered. The wolf gently entered this majestic old-growth pine forest, where the towering trunks of ancient trees stood closely packed. They rose like immense columns, their bark etched with the silent stories of countless seasons, forming a cathedral-like silence beneath their dense, overarching canopy. Within this profound sanctuary, the usual movements of the wind were reduced to the softest murmurs high above. The canopy itself muted external sound, creating an extraordinary stillness that settled deep into the forest floor. The very atmosphere here felt heavy and still, imbued with a quiet reverence. The distinct, rich, resinous scent of pine lingered in the cold air, a calming sound in itself, a deep, pervasive fragrance that spoke of long, unchanging years. It was a scent of earth and evergreen, of ancient life breathing slowly through the vast, dark wood. The ground beneath the wolf's soft paws was covered in a thick, insulating layer of needles. This carpet of fallen pine offered near silent movement, each gentle step absorbed without a rustle or a crunch. The wolf padded gently forward, its silver fur glimmering only faintly where the highest, most tenacious moonlight managed to pierce the layers of branches far overhead. It traveled slowly, deliberately, its senses finely tuned to the subtle changes of this enclosed world. The wolf was keenly aware of the enclosed space, the limited sight lines extending only a short distance through the dense ranks of trunks. Yet this closeness brought with it a deep relaxation. There was a peaceful forest night quality to this particular grove, a sense of being held and protected. The profound stillness was occasionally punctuated by small natural events that seemed to only deepen the quiet. Now and then, a falling cone would detach from a high branch, tumbling through the needles with a soft, muted thud that quickly dissolved into the general silence. Or a distant branch crack might echo, a gentle sound of the forest adjusting in its sleep before the profound stillness settled once more. These tiny sounds enhanced the pervasive sense of deep wilderness, a place untouched by recent disturbance, where time moved with its own quiet, steady rhythm. The wolf's quiet ears were listening to everything, yet perceiving so little beyond the immediate, tranquil presence of the ancient trees. It picked up only the softest whispers carried by the incredibly gentle air currents within the sleepy woodland. These were not sounds of alarm or urgency, but merely the ongoing breath of the forest, the calm breathing of a truly wild place. This deep, natural enclosure reinforced a powerful feeling of safety and comfort. Here, amidst the towering guardians of this ancient, quiet forest, the wolf felt the undeniable stability of a world that had remained steadfast through ages. As it continued wandering beneath stars that were almost completely hidden from view, the journey through this pine cathedral became a slow, unfolding meditation. The wolf did not rush, nor did it search with any particular urgency. Its slow pace was one of pure exploration, an unhurried immersion into the essence of this particular place. The uniform texture of the needle-strewn ground, the consistent calming scent of pine, and the pervasive stillness created a predictable rhythm. It was a rhythm that allowed the wolf's peaceful mind to settle, to experience a profound sense of rest without needing to seek a specific resting place. The sheer continuity of the experience, mile after mile of similar towering pines, fostered a deep sense of security. The air grew ever colder, yet the dense trees offered a certain insulation, preventing the most biting winds from penetrating their protective wall. The wolf moved with a soft grace, its tail gently swaying as it navigated around the massive bases of trees, sometimes pausing to sniff at a patch of moss, or simply to absorb the silent nature surrounding it. It was gazing across valleys of shadow and light within the immediate grove, seeing a world defined by trunks and fallen branches rather than vast horizons. The sense of being truly deep in relaxation within this natural chamber was pervasive. Each soft breath drifted out into the cold air, visible for a moment before melting into the stillness. The wolf continued its quiet journey through the ancient pine cathedral, its passage a testament to the enduring presence of the wilderness. It was a creature moving through its own history, through a landscape that had stood long before its birth and would stand long after. The feeling of absolute comfort in this calm, unchanging environment was complete. There was nothing here to disturb the quiet contemplation, nothing to break the steady flow of time. It was a place for enduring peace, a gentle pause in the night's long, slow narrative before the next shift in terrain would slowly lead to new vistas. The quiet embrace of the pine forest held the wolf in its profound stillness, allowing a deep relaxation to settle over the landscape and the traveler alike, creating a lasting feeling of safety. Chapter 13. The profound stillness of the ancient pine cathedral had gradually begun to yield. where towering trunks once formed an unbroken canopy, allowing only filtered light to speckle the soft ground of needles. The forest now slowly opened, the air thick with the rich, resinous scent of aged timber, transformed into a lighter, colder breath as the wolf continued its quiet journey. The densely packed trees gently receded, their formidable presence diminishing, preparing the way for a grander, more exposed vista. The peaceful forest night, which had been enclosed and intimate, now hinted at vastness beyond its silent, hushed depths. The familiar comfort of the forest edge gave way to a subtle shift in the terrain, a slow elevation leading to an unexpected boundary. Then, with a gentle, almost imperceptible change in gradient, the firm ground beneath the wolf's padding through forest's paws ceased its upward climb. An immense emptiness opened slowly before it, a sudden dramatic canyon carved deep into the earth's enduring rock. The wolf stood near the cliff edge, its silver fur glimmering faintly under the soft moonlight, which now spilled generously across the exposed surfaces. Below, far beyond reach, a river flowed, a ribbon of liquid shadow, winding with calm persistence through the canyon's profound depths. Its voice was a distant murmur, a soft, rhythmic sound that rose gently on the air, weaving into the overall gentle night ambiance. The vertical layers of rock plunged downward, an intricate tapestry of ancient stone, their faces catching and losing the sparse light, revealing textures etched by countless seasons. From the silent nature of the canyon floor, mist rose gently, like soft breaths drifting from the earth itself. These ethereal wisps drifted slowly upward, swirling and caressing the rugged walls, softening the sharp contours of the precipice. They moved with a peaceful grace, creating a veiled landscape, a soft mystery that enhanced the canyon's stillness. The calm night sky seemed to stretch boundless above, an inverted reflection of the deep chasm below, its stars now shining with an unhindered brilliance. Here, the wind intensified again, a constant, gentle current sweeping across the exposed cliff face, listening to breezes as they carved unseen paths. This breath of the wilderness carried echoes upward, faint, elongated whispers from the sleepy woodland and the peaceful wilderness that thrived unseen far below. The shift in perspective was profound, creating a sense of vast scale and elevation that made the previous forest feel like a small enclosed room. The world stretched out, wide and deep, a panorama of silent, enduring majesty. The wolf moved cautiously, its steps slow and deliberate, its tail gently swaying with a calm rhythm that spoke of practiced balance. It kept a respectful distance from the unstable edges, sensing the deep drop, prioritizing safer ground. Even with the immensity of the chasm before it, a profound feeling of safety settled within the wolf, born of its instinct and its innate connection to this powerful yet serene environment. The sheer, unchanging presence of the natural grandeur, shaped by geological time, offered a stability that was deeply comforting. Each soft paw placement was a testament to its peaceful mind, a reflection of its deep relaxation amidst the vastness. After its careful traverse along the perilous margin, the wolf found a sheltered ledge, a small indentation in the rock that offered a moment to rest. It settled down, curling beside a solid outcrop of stone, the cool, firm surface a reassuring presence. Its calm breathing eased into a slow, steady pace, harmonizing with the profound stillness of the high cliff. It paused on ridges, gazing across valleys that opened like slumbering giants below, watching moonlit clearings far, far in the distance, tiny patches of silver in the deep gloom. The gentle night ambience here was unique, a blend of immense depth and expansive sky, filled with the soft rustle of the wind. The wolf rested after wandering, a quiet observer in this immense, calm landscape, listening to breezes that seemed to tell soft stories of the world below, of the unseen life within the quiet forest that lined the distant canyon floor. Its soft breath drifted into the crisp air, a small, warm cloud against the vast, silent expanse, dreaming beneath moonlight that gently illuminated the eternal, peaceful wilderness. The journey continued, slowly, predictably, through the deep and calm night. Chapter 14. The wolf, having paused thoughtfully at the grand edge of the shadowed canyon, began its slow descent. Each paw placed with care, it moved along a less steep incline, leaving the windswept heights behind. The air softened almost immediately, losing its sharp cutting edge as the wolf reached the valley floor. Here, a deep, pervasive mist had collected thickly near the ground, settling like a vast, gentle blanket across the sprawling expanse. This ethereal vapor drifted gently, pulled by imperceptible currents of calm air, creating a world of muted contours and hushed impressions. Above the drifting mists, the calm night sky had begun its gentle transition toward early dawn. A faint light bloomed softly on the eastern horizon, a barely perceptible brightening that began the slowly softening of the profound darkness. This wasn't the stark announcement of sunrise, but rather a quiet internal glow, as if the land itself was slowly stirring from a long, peaceful sleep. The distant stars, which had glittered with such cold brilliance from the canyon rim, now seemed to recede, absorbed into the deepening soft blue of the pre-dawn sky. Visibility fluctuated with each soft step the wolf took, as it moved through shifting fog layers. One moment, the vague outline of a tree might appear, its form softened and blurred. The next, it would dissolve back into the quiet white embrace. The environment truly felt dreamlike, with all muted sounds echoing only faintly, losing their sharp edges to the damp, enveloping air. Every feature of the landscape, from the nearest fallen log to the furthest rise of land, was softened by the mist, transformed into indistinct shapes and ethereal shadows. The familiar became unfamiliar, yet without any hint of unease, maintaining a profoundly peaceful mind state. The wolf continued its steady progress, padding through forests that lined the valley's edges, where ancient trees stood like silent sentinels, their lower branches swathed in the low-lying fog. Then, it emerged into more open areas, following woodland trails that appeared and disappeared like whispers in the mist. Its movements were guided by instinct, a deep, unwavering sense of direction that transcended the limited sight. Subtle scent changes in the damp air became its compass, indicating the lay of the land, the presence of unseen water, or the distant rise of higher ground. The quiet ears listening of the wolf remained attuned to the gentle night ambiance, discerning the faint drip of moisture from shrouded leaves or the soft rustle of unseen reeds further within the sleepy woodland. This chapter truly marked the beginning of temporal transition from night to morning, a profound, gentle shift that brought with it a feeling of stability. The comfort of the encroaching light, however faint, pervaded the air, wrapping around the wolf like a soft, welcoming cloak. The quiet valley, enveloped in its misty shroud, encouraged a deep relaxation, a slow breathing rhythm that settled into the very core of the peaceful wilderness. The wolf rested after wandering through the deeper night, finding solace in this stillness, sensing the promise of the coming day. It moved as a part of the mist itself, a silver fur glimmering phantom, utterly at peace within the silent nature of the transforming land. Chapter 15. The wolf's form, which had been softened by the valley's deep mists, slowly began to solidify as it emerged from the last, drifting tendrils of vapor. The ethereal veil thinned, revealing clearer air and a landscape subtly reshaped by time. Its paws, having felt the cool, pervasive dampness of the fog-laden earth for a long stretch, now met a different, firmer texture beneath. Ahead, a wide, open expanse unfolded, not defined by the familiar, close-set trunks of the quiet forest, but by spaces marked with the silent, enduring evidence of a distant, past fire. This was a burned autumn clearing, a quiet testament to nature's powerful, slow cycles. Tall, blackened trunks stood like ancient, silent sentinels, reaching skyward. Their stark, charcoal forms presented a striking contrast against the pale, awakening hues of the early dawn light. The ground itself was subtly layered with the fine, almost imperceptible remnants of old combustion, a soft blanket of ash that yielded gently under the wolf's careful steps. Yet, through this delicate, dusty covering, tender shoots of new grass emerged, weaving a delicate, fresh green carpet amidst the darker, more somber tones. The faint light of early dawn, which had been merely a whispered suggestion in the mist-filled valley, now held a clearer, more defined presence. It was still a soft light, entirely without harshness, but it began to illuminate the unique character of this landscape, drawing out the intricate textures and quiet details. The deep, matte charcoal of the charred wood stood in peaceful opposition to the pale, almost luminous green of the emerging vegetation. The smooth, cool ash contrasted gently with the rough, resilient bark of the surviving, or newly fallen timber. Each visual element spoke of a gentle, slow progression, a quiet story of resilience and renewal unfolding under the calm morning sky. The air in the clearing carried a distinct earthy aroma, the faint, distant memory of burned wood mingling with the fresh scent of damp soil and nascent plant life. It was a subtle, persistent scent that spoke of deep time, a gentle reminder of the land's enduring history, yet entirely free of any harshness or acridity. The wolf moved through this space cautiously, its powerful, silent form padding slowly across the variegated ground. Its pace adapted with a steady grace to this new open terrain, its silver fur glimmering with the lightest touch of the growing light. Its quiet ears, always attentive, listened for any sounds beyond the gentle whisper of the awakening landscape. Here, the sounds were different from those of the dense forest or the river's edge. There was the faint rustle of dry, new grass as a tiny breeze drifted by, a soft, almost inaudible sigh across the wide space. Sometimes a small, loose fragment of charred bark would detach itself from a trunk, falling to the ground with a soft tap, a solitary sound that quickly dissolved into the surrounding stillness. The peaceful wilderness was slowly stirring, but with a deliberate, calming rhythm. The wolf's gaze traversed the clearing, observing with a quiet curiosity how nature slowly, patiently reclaimed land that had once been touched by the heat of fire. It was a visual lesson in continuity, a deep sense of stability emanating from the unwavering cycle of growth and regrowth. Even amidst the signs of past upheaval, a profound feeling of safety permeated the air, a reassurance in the quiet persistence of life. This environment, with its gentle contrasts of destruction and renewal, introduced a quiet emotional depth into the calm progression toward the full light of morning. This was a place of quiet endurance, where stillness and comfort persisted, unwavering. The wolf paused, its soft breath drifting almost invisibly in the cool air, its quiet ears listening to the soft, emerging sounds of the sleepy woodland that bordered the clearing. It settled for a moment, finding a place of rest among the low, new growth, feeling the cool earth beneath its body. The peaceful mind of the wolf absorbed the scene, a sense of deep relaxation flowing through its frame as it absorbed the subtle beauty of its surroundings. The blackened forms of the ancient trees stood like dark, silent sculptures against the slowly brightening eastern horizon. Each twisted branch, each scarred trunk, held a story of survival, a testament to the patient strength of the forest. Yet at their bases, and spreading across the open ground, was the vibrant, undeniable promise of new life. Tiny green shoots unfurled, delicate yet determined, drawing sustenance from the enriched soil. The gentle light of dawn caught the moisture on their surfaces, making them glint like scattered emeralds, a soft, inviting sparkle across the broad expanse. As the light continued its slow ascent, more details began to reveal themselves. Patches of moss, a deeper, richer green, clung to the bases of some of the older, unburned stumps, providing a soft contrast to the paler grasses. Small, resilient wildflowers, their petals barely open, offered their subtle colors to the emerging day. The ground felt stable and firm, a steady foundation beneath the wolf's paws, anchoring it in this present moment of quiet observation. It moved a few more steps, carefully sniffing at a small cluster of these new shoots, recognizing the scent of vitality and new beginnings. The calm breathing of the wolf remained steady, a rhythmic counterpoint to the quiet pulse of the morning. It was a scene of quiet contemplation, a moment where the grand scale of natural forces met the delicate resilience of life, all held within the comforting embrace of the slowly brightening world. There was no urgency in the air, only a steady, predictable unfolding, a continuous, gentle journey from the shadows of night into the soft promises of a new day. The wolf lingered, allowing the calm ambiance of the clearing to wash over it, reinforcing the deep relaxation it felt. The sun remained just below the horizon, but its presence was undeniable, casting an increasingly warm, soft glow across the upper edges of the burned trunks. The shadows that had once lain heavy and indistinct began to soften, retreating into the deeper crevices and beneath the new growth. The cool air, still crisp from the night, held a freshness that invigorated gently, without ever disturbing the prevailing stillness. The wolf lifted its head slightly, its quiet ears twitching almost imperceptibly, capturing the faint, distant calls of early morning birds beginning their routines in the untouched fringes of the sleepy woodland. It was a harmonious blending of past and present, a landscape that bore the marks of change yet resonated with an undeniable, peaceful continuity. The wolf, a creature intimately connected to these cycles, understood the quiet language of this space. It had witnessed countless dawns, countless transitions, and each one brought its own gentle reassurance. Here, in the burned autumn clearing, it found comfort in the enduring rhythm of the world, in the way life steadily returned, weaving new patterns upon old foundations. The feeling of safety was profound, a deep, inherent trust in the stability of the natural order. Its gaze slowly traversed the wide expanse, lingering on the furthest edges where the charred clearing met the living forest, a soft green border against the dark skeletal forms. This journey, beginning under the deep cover of night and now moving through the soft unveiling of dawn, offered a continuous, predictable, and peaceful experience. The wolf had wandered beneath stars, moved through twilight, and now paused to rest in the gentle light of the earliest morning, observing the unfolding world. There was a sense of quiet completion in this observation, a momentary pause before the gentle progression continued, leading the wolf towards the next phase of its solitary, calm passage through the vast Siberian landscape. The wolf's form, which had been softened by the valley's deep mists, slowly began to solidify as it emerged from the last drifting tendrils of vapor. The ethereal veil thinned, revealing clearer air and a landscape subtly reshaped by time. Its paws, having felt the cool, pervasive dampness of the fog-laden earth for a long stretch, now met a different, firmer texture beneath. Ahead, a wide, open expanse unfolded, not defined by the familiar close-set trunks of the quiet forest, but by spaces marked with the silent, enduring evidence of a distant past fire. This was a burned autumn clearing, a quiet testament to nature's powerful, slow cycles. Tall, blackened trunks stood like ancient, silent sentinels reaching skyward. Their stark charcoal forms presented a striking contrast against the pale, awakening hues of the early dawn light. The ground itself was subtly layered with the fine, almost imperceptible remnants of old combustion, a soft blanket of ash that yielded gently under the wolf's careful steps. Yet, through this delicate, dusty covering, tender shoots of new grass emerged, weaving a delicate, fresh green carpet amidst the darker, more somber tones. The faint light of early dawn, which had been merely a whispered suggestion in the mist-filled valley, now held a clearer, more defined presence. It was still a soft light, entirely without harshness, but it began to illuminate the unique character of this landscape, drawing out the intricate textures and quiet details. The deep, matte charcoal of the charred wood stood in peaceful opposition to the pale, almost luminous green of the emerging vegetation. The smooth, cool ash contrasted gently with the rough, resilient bark of the surviving, or newly fallen timber. Each visual element spoke of a gentle, slow progression, a quiet story of resilience and renewal unfolding under the calm morning sky. The air in the clearing carried a distinct, earthy aroma, the faint, distant memory of burned wood mingling with the fresh scent of damp soil and nascent plant life. It was a subtle, persistent scent that spoke of deep time, a gentle reminder of the land's enduring history, yet entirely free of any harshness or acridity. The wolf moved through this space cautiously, its powerful, silent form padding slowly across the variegated ground. Its pace adapted with a steady grace to this new, open terrain, its silver fur glimmering with the lightest touch of the growing light. Its quiet ears, always attentive, listened for any sounds beyond the gentle whisper of the awakening landscape. Here, the sounds were different from those of the dense forest or the river's edge. There was the faint rustle of dry, new grass as a tiny breeze drifted by, a soft, almost inaudible sigh across the wide space. Sometimes a small, loose fragment of charred bark would detach itself from a trunk, falling to the ground with a soft tap, a solitary sound that quickly dissolved into the surrounding stillness. The peaceful wilderness was slowly stirring, but with a deliberate, calming rhythm. The wolf's gaze traversed the clearing, observing with a quiet curiosity how nature slowly, patiently reclaimed land that had once been touched by the heat of fire. It was a visual lesson in continuity, a deep sense of stability emanating from the unwavering cycle of growth and regrowth. Even amidst the signs of past upheaval, a profound feeling of safety permeated the air, a reassurance in the quiet persistence of life. This environment, with its gentle contrasts of destruction and renewal, introduced a quiet emotional depth into the calm progression toward the full light of morning. This was a place of quiet endurance, where stillness and comfort persisted, unwavering. The wolf paused, its soft breath drifting almost invisibly in the cool air, its quiet ears listening to the soft emerging sounds of the sleepy woodland that bordered the clearing. It settled for a moment, finding a place of rest among the low new growth, feeling the cool earth beneath its body. The peaceful mind of the wolf absorbed the scene, a sense of deep relaxation flowing through its frame as it absorbed the subtle beauty of its surroundings. The blackened forms of the ancient trees stood like dark, silent sculptures against the slowly brightening eastern horizon. Each twisted branch, each scarred trunk, held a story of survival, a testament to the patient strength of the forest. Yet, at their bases, and spreading across the open ground, was the vibrant, undeniable promise of new life. Tiny green shoots unfurled, delicate yet determined, drawing sustenance from the enriched soil. The gentle light of dawn caught the moisture on their surfaces, making them glint like scattered emeralds, a soft, inviting sparkle across the broad expanse. As the light continued its slow ascent, more details began to reveal themselves. Patches of moss, a deeper, richer green, clung to the bases of some of the older, unburned stumps, providing a soft contrast to the paler grasses. Small, resilient wildflowers, their petals barely open, offered their subtle colors to the emerging day. The ground felt stable and firm, a steady foundation beneath the wolf's paws, anchoring it in this present moment of quiet observation. It moved a few more steps, carefully sniffing at a small cluster of these new shoots, recognizing the scent of vitality and new beginnings. The calm breathing of the wolf remained steady, a rhythmic counterpoint to the quiet pulse of the morning. It was a scene of quiet contemplation, a moment where the grand scale of natural forces met the delicate resilience of life, all held in the comforting embrace of the slowly brightening world. There was no urgency in the air, only a steady, predictable unfolding, a continuous, gentle journey from the shadows of night into the soft promises of a new day. The wolf lingered, allowing the calm ambiance of the clearing to wash over it, reinforcing the deep relaxation it felt. The sun remained just below the horizon, but its presence was undeniable, casting an increasingly warm, soft glow across the upper edges of the burned trunks. The shadows that had once lain heavy and indistinct began to soften, retreating into the deeper crevices and beneath the new growth. The cool air, still crisp from the night, held a freshness that invigorated gently, without ever disturbing the prevailing stillness. The wolf lifted its head slightly, its quiet ears twitching almost imperceptibly, capturing the faint, distant calls of early morning birds beginning their routines in the untouched fringes of the sleepy woodland. It was a harmonious blending of past and present, a landscape that bore the marks of change yet resonated with an undeniable, peaceful continuity. The wolf, a creature intimately connected to these cycles, understood the quiet language of this space. It had witnessed countless dawns, countless transitions, and each one brought its own gentle reassurance. Here in the burned autumn clearing, it found comfort in the enduring rhythm of the world, in the way life steadily returned, weaving new patterns upon old foundations. The feeling of safety was profound, a deep inherent trust in the stability of the natural order. Its gaze slowly traversed the wide expanse, lingering on the furthest edges where the charred clearing met the living forest, a soft green border against the dark skeletal forms. This journey, beginning under the deep cover of night and now moving through the soft unveiling of dawn, offered a continuous, predictable, and peaceful experience. The wolf had wandered beneath stars, moved through twilight, and now paused to rest in the gentle light of the earliest morning, observing the unfolding world. There was a sense of quiet completion in this observation, a momentary pause before the gentle progression continued, leading the wolf towards the next phase of its solitary, calm passage through the vast Siberian landscape. Chapter 16. The wolf emerged from the shadowed edge of the burned clearing, its form a soft silhouette against the very first hint of true morning. Before it stretched an open meadow, wide and expansive, transformed by the silent work of the night into a landscape of delicate shimmer. Early frost had descended, coating every blade of grass, every dry seed head, and the fine strands of forgotten spiderwebs with countless tiny sparkling crystals. It was a canvas painted in ephemeral light. With each careful, deliberate step, the wolf's paws disturbed the fragile crust of ice that bound the meadow grasses. A subtle, almost musical crunching sound rose with every soft placement, a quiet melody of the awakening land. Its silver fur glimmering faintly, reflecting the nascent light, the wolf moved with a profound and steady calm, crossing a meadow that seemed to hold its breath in the stillness of the new day. Above, the calm night sky was performing its final, gentle act of transformation. Dawn colors spread gently, unfurling across the vast expanse, blending pale pink at the horizon with soft gold nearer the unseen sun, dissolving into faint blue high above. These hues began to pour over the landscape, painting the frosted meadow in ethereal shades. The frost sparkled with an intensified brilliance under the rising sun, turning the entire open space into a shimmering blanket that stretched into the distance. It was a peaceful wilderness tableau, vast and welcoming. The air remained crisp autumnal coldness, sharp and clean, carrying the gentle scent of frozen earth and dormant plant life. Yet beneath the chill, there was the slowly increasing promise of warmth. The wolf felt the subtle shift, the gentle warmth that slowly began to touch the uppermost layers of the frosted ground, a promise of the sun's full return. It was a gradual, unhurried progression, entirely in harmony with the silent nature around it. As the wolf continued its steady journey, padding through the glistening expanse, its quiet ears listening to the soft sounds of the meadow, a sense of deep relaxation settled over its form. This vast, open space, so different from the enclosed forests and ravines of the deep night, offered a profound feeling of safety and stability. The uninterrupted horizon, the clear expanding light, and the predictable rhythms of dawn provided a comfort that resonated deeply within its peaceful mind. Each stride brought the wolf further into the full embrace of morning. The increased visibility allowed its gaze to sweep across the distant edges of the meadow, gazing across valleys that were still partially veiled in the last remnants of a cool morning haze. The light frost underfoot softened slightly as the sun gained strength, and the subtle crunching sounds began to diminish, replaced by a softer rustle as the grass straightened. The full transition into morning was unfolding gracefully, yet the essential crisp autumnal coldness of the season was preserving its sharp beauty. The wolf rested its gaze for a moment, not pausing its movement, but allowing its awareness to fully absorb the quiet grandeur of the scene. The soft breath drifting from its nostrils formed small, fleeting clouds in the cold air, dissolving as gentle as they appeared. There was no urgency, no haste in its demeanor, only a slow, continuous forward motion, a calm and unhurried passage through this ephemeral world of frost and nascent sunlight. The sensations were pure and clear, devoid of distraction, reinforcing the tranquil atmosphere. It was a moment of profound stillness held within steady movement, a peaceful awakening. The wolf gained comfort from the gentle morning light, knowing that the day ahead would unfold with the same quiet predictability as the sunrise itself. Chapter 17. The gentle warmth that had begun to grace the frosted meadow in Chapter 16 now continued its slow spread, coaxing the landscape awake. The wolf moved from the glistening grasses, its steps still soft and unhurried as it followed a faint depression in the earth, a natural path that gently sloped downwards. This subtle descent led the creature away from the open expanse and towards the murmur of flowing water. The air grew perceptibly moister, carrying the clean, fresh scent of abundant water and verdant growth, a tranquil perfume of the quiet morning. Soon the terrain transformed into a branching river delta, a complex tapestry of narrow waterways that split and rejoined, weaving through vast expanses filled with tall, slender reeds. These reeds, now burnished with the strengthening morning light, swayed with a rhythmic, almost hypnotic motion under the touch of a soft, waking breeze. Each individual stalk, a pale golden brown, rustled against its neighbor, creating a continuous, whispering sound that blended seamlessly with the gentle murmur of the moving water. The wolf stepped carefully along the bank, its paws pressing into the damp, soft earth, a pleasant sensation after the crisp frost of the meadow. The sun, now higher above the horizon, cast its radiant glow across the delta, illuminating the countless tiny ripples on the surface of the shallow streams. This growing daylight painted the moving water surfaces with a shimmering silver, reflecting the serene sky above in fragmented, dancing patterns. Each glint of light was a gentle, fleeting spark that added to the overall feeling of peace and quiet vitality. The very act of the water moving seemed to impart a sense of stability, a constant flow that grounded the observer in the present moment. In the distance, across the wide, reedy expanse, faint stirrings of bird activity began to emerge. A soft chirrup, a distant warbling call, then another, creating a delicate symphony that was barely audible above the rustling of the reeds and the whisper of the wind. These gentle sounds did not disturb the profound calm, but rather deepened the sense of a peaceful wilderness gently awakening. The wolf's quiet ears listened, sifting through the layers of natural sounds, discerning each subtle detail without any hint of urgency or alarm. A narrow stream, clear and inviting, beckoned closer to the wolf's path. The creature paused at its edge, its graceful head lowering slowly. It drank deeply, the cool water a refreshing sensation after its long, quiet journey. The act of drinking was deliberate and calm, a fundamental part of its morning routine. Each swallow was a slow, measured motion, connecting the wolf intimately with the life-giving stream. Its soft breath drifted gently into the cool morning air as it rested momentarily at the water's edge. After quenching its thirst, the wolf lingered near the stream, its gaze following the subtle shifting currents of the water. It watched how tiny eddies formed and dissolved, how floating debris drifted lazily downstream, carried by the invisible push of the flow. This quiet observation was a meditation on the constant, yet unchanging nature of the river. The reflections of the reeds, tall and proud, stretched into the water, their mirrored images swaying in gentle counterpoint to their real forms. The scene was one of tranquil beauty, an undisturbed panorama of natural harmony. The environment here, filled with the soft activity of water and waking birds, felt distinctly more alive than the hushed, deeply still night scenes the wolf had traversed. Yet, despite this gentle increase in natural movement, the overall atmosphere remained perfectly calm and wonderfully balanced. There was no rush, no suddenness, only the steady unfolding rhythm of the morning. The quiet forest, now far behind, had yielded to this equally peaceful aquatic landscape, fostering a continuous feeling of safety and comfort within the vastness of Siberia. The warmth of the rising sun continued to slowly spread across the delta, dissolving any lingering chill from the autumn night. This increasing warmth created a feeling of deep relaxation, encouraging a peaceful mind. The wolf stretched its tired paws, a slow, deliberate movement, before settling its body onto a patch of soft earth near the water's edge. It did not sleep, but merely allowed itself a moment of profound rest, its eyes half closed, observing the sunlit expanse of the delta. It was as if it was watching moonlit clearings, but now bathed in the gentle glow of morning, finding solace in the bright, quiet stillness of the new day. A slight, almost imperceptible shift in the wind caused the reeds to sway with a slightly different cadence, a new note in their constant whisper. The wolf lifted its head, listening to breezes that carried the faintest scents from beyond the delta. The journey was not yet complete, but for this moment, in this peaceful place, there was a profound sense of continuity and well-being. The gentle currents of the delta continued their endless flow, leading the eye and the mind slowly onward, towards whatever quiet discoveries awaited further downstream. The wolf would, in its own steady rhythm, slowly continue its journey into the heart of the growing morning, away from the reeds and towards another subtle change in the landscape. Chapter 18. From the gentle sway of the river delta's reeds, where the morning light had painted shimmering patterns on the water, the lone wolf continued its calm journey through the quiet morning. The path it chose now led away from the meandering streams, slowly ascending a subtle rise in the earth. Here, nestled within a gentle slope that seemed to cradle a quiet secret, a dark opening in the rock face gradually became visible. It was a shallow cave system, patiently carved by the unseen forces of time into the enduring limestone rock. The entrance, framed by ancient mosses that clung softly to the stone and slender, dew-kissed ferns that trembled in the faint stir of air, offered a subtle invitation. A whisper of coolness drifted outward from the cavern's mouth, a peaceful breath from within the earth, distinctly different from the warming air of the outer world. The wolf paused at the threshold, its silver fur glimmering briefly in the strengthening daylight before it stepped into the soft shadows. Inside, the world shifted. The direct, expansive light of the morning was replaced by a diffused, ambient glow that softened every edge. The interior acoustics of this hidden clearing amplified every small movement the wolf made. Each gentle step on the damp earth created a soft, echoing resonance that traveled through the chambers, adding a gentle mystery to the quiet space. The sound was not startling, merely present, a unique characteristic of this subterranean place. The wolf's quiet ears listened, processing these new sonic textures, understanding them as part of the cavern's silent language. The mineral-streaked walls of the limestone rock rose around it, cool to the touch if one were to brush against them. These walls bore long, intricate patterns, subtle hues of white and gray, and faint hints of ochre where minerals had slowly bled into the stone over countless seasons. They reflected the faint ambient light from the entrance in soft, muted ways, revealing delicate textures and contours that deepened the feeling of stillness within. Droplets of water occasionally formed on these surfaces, then slowly slid down, leaving behind shining trails that briefly caught the light, only to disappear into the dampness below. Cool air flowed outward from deeper, unseen chambers, a steady, peaceful current that carried a clean, earthy scent. It was the scent of stone and damp soil, untouched by the growing warmth of the morning sun. The wolf breathed deeply, its soft breath drifting visible in the cooler air, taking in this new sensory experience. It moved cautiously, padding slowly into the first, wider chamber, its tail gently swaying in a relaxed rhythm. The ground was uneven, a mix of soft earth and fallen pebbles, yet its steps remained deliberate and unhurried. There was no urgency in its exploration, only a calm, observant curiosity. Though the cave offered a profound sense of enclosure and protection from the elements, a unique form of comfort in its consistent coolness, the wolf did not linger long. Its nature drew it toward the open terrain, the expansive views, and the endless variations of the surface world. The cave introduced a subterranean contrast to the earlier surface journey, adding a quiet depth to the environmental variation it had experienced throughout the long night and into the awakening morning. It was a brief visit, a moment of rest in a silent, hidden place, where the stillness was almost palpable, and the comfort came from the earth's ancient embrace. After its calm inspection, the wolf turned, its movements as soft and unhurried as its entry. It retraced its steps toward the entrance, the faint light growing steadily brighter with each stride. As it emerged from the limestone cavern, its silver fur again caught the full, gentle light of the morning sun. The cool air of the cave still clung to its coat for a moment, slowly giving way to the invigorating chill of the rising day. The quiet forest, still stretching towards the horizon, now seemed even more inviting in its vastness. The wolf stood at the mouth of the cave, gazing across the peaceful landscape, feeling a renewed sense of stability as it prepared to continue its slow progression, preferring the wide, calm expanse of the world above. Chapter 19. From the cool, resonating dampness of the limestone cavern, the wolf emerged, stepping onto a ground that felt subtly different. The air, no longer confined, flowed freely, carrying the crispness of a world gradually awakening under the strengthening light. Slowly, the wolf walked, its paws finding a new texture beneath them as the familiar quiet forest began its gentle transformation. Here, the tall, slender trees started to thin out, their numbers dwindling, their forms becoming more gnarled and robust, as if bracing for a harsher, more exposed existence. This was a boundary zone, a place of slow, deliberate change where the dense, comforting canopy gave way to the expansive sweep of the northern tundra. Morning light, which had been a gentle whisper in the valley, a soft blush on frosted meadows, was now fully present. It poured over the landscape, clear and bright, revealing an expansive visibility that stretched far beyond the nearest stands of pine and birch. Every detail was sharpened by this wider daylight, the individual patterns on exposed rock, the delicate weave of low-lying plants, the distant undulating contours of the land itself. The world opened up, vast and unhindered, a peaceful wilderness that invited the gaze to wander, discovering endless space. The wind here felt more direct, a steady, calm presence that moved across the open land with fewer obstacles. It carried open-air scents, different from the rich, earthy smells of the forest floor or the mineral notes of the cave. These were the scents of resilient life, dry mosses, hardy lichens clinging to stones, and the faint, cold scent of distant frozen earth. The wolf inhaled deeply, allowing these new sensations to wash over its peaceful mind, a soft curiosity guiding its awareness. Underfoot, the ground offered a distinct new texture, no longer the yielding cushion of fallen leaves or pine needles, nor the soft mud of the delta, but a firmer, often rocky base, interspersed with patches of small, hardy plants that grew close to the ground. Their leaves were often waxy or tough, designed to withstand the cooler exposure and the ceaseless sweep of the wind. The wolf continued forward steadily, its strong legs accustomed to varied terrain, adapting with an innate grace to this increasingly open environment. Each step was measured, a rhythmic progression across the transitional landscape. Its silver fur, which had absorbed the faint starlight and muted dawn hues throughout the long night, now glimmered brightly in the full, clear morning light. It caught the sun's rays, reflecting a gentle sheen that stood out against the muted tones of the ground. There was a profound sense of stability in this slow progression, a feeling of safety that came from the predictable, natural changes of the world. The shift from one ecosystem to another was not sudden or jarring, but a gradual, harmonious unfolding, a testament to the continuous cycles of the wild. The wolf paused, its quiet ears listening to the subtle whispers carried on the direct wind, the rustle of unseen dry grasses, the distant call of a high-flying bird. It rested its gaze upon the wide horizon, gazing across valleys that stretched into the distance, appearing to dissolve into the pale blue of the sky. This vastness offered a deep relaxation, a quiet understanding of its place within such an immense landscape. The gentle curves of distant hills, the soft, undulating lines of the land, all contributed to a pervasive sense of comfort. Moving calmly onward, the wolf embraced the coolness of the air, the expansive view, and the quiet dignity of this new wild threshold. It was a place of contemplation, of enduring strength, where the very act of existing felt like a quiet affirmation. The journey continued, a steady, unhurried passage deeper into the open, sunlit expanse, each slow step reinforcing the feeling of safety and the calm rhythm of the wilderness. The forest had become a memory, a gentle backdrop now, as the wolf ventured further into the profound stillness of the emerging tundra. Chapter 20. The gentle journey concludes upon an elevated plateau, a vast open space reaching toward the brightening sky. From this high vantage, the wolf observes the vast Siberian expanse unfolding beneath it, a breathtaking tapestry of landscape now bathed in full morning sunlight. The final remnants of night have fully transitioned into the promise of a new morning, leaving no trace of the lingering shadows that once clung to the earth. The soft sunlight spills generously over everything, illuminating forests that had seemed impenetrable, rivers that had flowed as black ribbons, and plains that stretched into hazy distances, all the diverse terrains crossed throughout the quiet nocturnal journey. Each feature, from the deepest valley to the highest ridge, now stands revealed, forming a grand and peaceful wilderness tableau. The golden hues of the rising sun paint the horizon, slowly transforming pale blues and soft lavenders into brilliant oranges and warm golds. This calming sound of light spreading across the world creates a profound sense of tranquility. The air, still holding the crisp memory of night, is touched by the growing warmth of the sun's embrace, becoming cold but bright. The wolf stands calmly at the plateau's edge, its powerful form silhouetted for a fleeting moment against the vibrant dawn, its soft breath drifting visibly in the cool, clear air, a gentle rhythm of life. The wolf's tail gently swaying with a quiet, almost imperceptible motion, reflecting a profound internal stillness. Its silver fur glimmering now not by the faint moon, but by the direct, vibrant light of the sun, each strand catching the new day's brilliance. This panoramic view offers a deep relaxation to the wolf, a sense of completion for its solitary night's passage. Below, the quiet forest stretches a silent, verdant sea, and beyond it, the meandering paths of streams and the distant glint of larger waterways are visible. The entire scene breathes with a natural rhythm, a continuity of wilderness life that has persevered through countless nights and dawns in 1917 Siberia, untouched by the fleeting passage of time and seasons. The calm expanse before it brings a deep sense of comfort, a safe feeling that transcends the vastness. The gentle breeze sweeps across the plateau, carrying with it faint, mingling scents from the awakening world below, the fresh, earthy smell of damp soil, the resinous perfume of pine needles, and the subtle, wild fragrance of damp moss. The wolf's quiet ears listening attentively, not for immediate threats, but simply to the soft whispers of the land, the rustling of sparse, hardy grasses, and the distant, almost inaudible stirrings of waking life. There are no sudden sounds, no abrupt changes, only the slow unfurling of the day, a seamless continuation of the peaceful night into a tranquil morning. The peaceful mind of the wolf seems to absorb this vastness, a quiet contentment settling within it. Its gaze sweeps across valleys, over the distant tree lines, and to the faint, ethereal peaks that mark the far edges of its known world. The stillness of the high plateau allows for a singular focus on the present moment, a moment of profound clarity and comfort. This culmination of its journey is not an end, but a natural pause, a period of rest before the rhythms of the new day gently pull it forward once more. The silent nature surrounding it confirms its place within this grand design, a testament to endurance and quiet adaptation. The journey from the Ob River edge to this elevated plateau has unfolded with a deliberate, slow progression, each chapter a gentle step forward. From the whispers in the larch forest to the frozen marsh expanse, through the abandoned logging camp shadows and the ravine of the hidden den, then across the wind corridor of the foothills to the silver ice of the highland lake. It passed through the birch grove of rustling light, over the railway through the dark steppe, past the outskirts of a sleeping village, along the hunter's trail of the eastern slope, and deep into the ancient pine cathedral. It stood on the cliff above the shadowed canyon, moved through the misty valley before dawn and the burned autumn clearing, crossed the frosted meadow, awakening, and the reeds of the river delta, briefly explored the limestone cavern, and finally traversed the edge of the northern tundra transition. Now, on this high sunrise plateau over Siberia, all those diverse landscapes merge into one harmonious vision. The full morning light reveals textures and contours that were obscured by darkness, providing a sense of completion for the observer, both for the wolf and for the quiet journey's chronicler. The land breathes, exhaling the last coolness of night and inhaling the first warmth of day, a fundamental rhythm that guides all life in the peaceful wilderness. The wolf's presence on this high point signifies not a destination reached with finality, but a moment of profound grounding, a silent acknowledgement of its place within the vast stable world. Its calm breathing continues, steady and unhurried. The previous wandering beneath stars has now given way to gazing across valleys under the clear, open sky. There is a deep, abiding feeling of safety that resonates from the sheer, unchanging presence of the landscape itself. The cycle is whole, complete in its momentary stillness. The wolf does not hurry, finding a profound comfort in simply being present, resting after wandering through the long, quiet night. The crisp, clean air feels refreshing, a gentle invitation to remain in this moment of deep relaxation. The stillness of the plateau stretches endlessly, broken only by the continuous, soft whispers of the breeze that carries the memory of the peaceful forest night and the promise of the day ahead. All elements coalesce into a singular, calm presence, a profound sense of stability. The wolf stands as an enduring emblem of this wilderness, a sentinel of the dawn, its quiet form embodying the very essence of Siberian resilience and grace. The soft light intensifies, and the world awakens further, not with a jolt, but with a gentle, slow expansion of light and life. The journey has come to its calm and peaceful conclusion, leaving a lasting impression of stillness and comfort in the heart of the silent nature, a timeless scene unfolding in the expanse of 1917 Siberia.